What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, coming at you from Jay's Geekhouse, taking some new equipment for a spin. So let's see what this looks like. So, this is a format not unlike the various quarantine update vlogs that I did earlier in the pandemic. And the reason for that is not only to take the new equipment for a spin that we are testing right now as I record this, but also we're going to be talking about something very similar along those lines when it comes to the whole pandemic stuff, specifically wearing masks. The 9 to 5 this week ended on a rather embarrassing note, as I think I might have found out that I've gotten better at 5S stuff than the folks that taught me about 5S. I don't know. I think the old proverb is no student is ever greater than their master, but it's nice to know that I've gotten good at this 5S stuff over the years. So apparently, the mask that the 9 to 5ers have actually been issued to hand out is not as good as the one that I came up with on my own with the 5S background that I've picked up from these folks. So, of course, the whole mask thing, you want a mask that completely covers your mouth and nose, and most importantly, doesn't slip. And it appears that in my attempts to 5S a mask and stuff like that, for what to wear with the 9 to 5 and elsewhere, other places that I go, while we're all doing the mask wearing thing, it appears that I seem to have stumbled upon something better than what was officially recommended by the 9 to 5ers. So since we're talking a pandemic, and there are lives on the line, and people want to stay healthy and stuff along those lines, I figured just for the heck of it to do a little video discussing my own progression on this whole thing with masks, and how I got to where I am today with a single 5S standard mask that I wear when I'm with the 9 to 5ers. This is the only kind of mask I wear to work, and it's the only kind of mask I'd want to wear to work. The end. So let's get into a little bit of history here. So, when this mask thing first started being a thing, you couldn't find them anywhere. The supply chains couldn't keep up, and there were people that were gouging on the internet because they knew that they were in short supply. So, nobody had them, and if you wanted one, it was going to be super expensive. So I decided to wing it and just buy a headband and stretch it out a lot. And this is what I wore when I first went to places that required face coverings. As you can imagine, it is terrible. It's like I'm bound and gagged or something, because I pretty much am. It's next to impossible to talk in this thing. If I talk too much, I run the risk of starting to screw up like this and having to do that, or slip down too far and having to do that. Yeah, this is not a mask, and it was stupid for me to actually think it could serve as one. This is not a mask, and it was stupid for me to even think it could serve as one. But when there was literally nothing else, this did the job, so long as I kept my mouth shut. Needless to say, it was time to move on very, very quickly. So, when I finally succeeded at finding a mask on the internet that I could buy somewhere, this was the result. Yeah. Got this off of Newegg's marketplace, and it was the first and last mask I ever bought from Newegg. $20 US for this thing. It is literally like extra lingerie cloth that someone cut into the shape of a mask. Yeah, I mean, you got this thing, you got to decide you want to wear it with the seam in, pointing in or out. It's just awful. It technically works. But let's put this thing on. Yeah, see, it's pulling my ears forward already because my head is big. See that? Yeah. Let's try and adjust this off camera and see if there's any way I can make this feel comfortable. Okay, so I got this thing on, and it won't stay still. It's constantly moving back and forth. The more I talk, keeps riding up my chin and stuff like that. Could be going the other direction and slipping down. I have to keep doing this, keep it over my nose. So, obviously the problem with this is this big seam down the middle, and there's this big thing of cloth just digging into the center of my face. It's horrible. This technically works, but it's basically just one piece of cloth, like literally extra, like a lingerie factory or something. Had some extra material for making bras or something, and they basically made this. So yeah, it's pretty bad. The only reason I would ever wear this is if I absolutely had to wear a mask and there was nothing else available at the time. Yeah, pretty awful. And $20 for this thing. What a waste. Yeah. Anywho. Now, the dumbest thing about this extra lingerie material mask is that wearing it inside out is actually better. Yeah, you got this little seam sticking out from your face. This thing's already slipping up this way, so I have to keep constantly adjusting it. Can bring it down to here or so, but the more I talk, the more problems it causes. And of course, we take it down too far, it'll start slipping forward until my nose pops out, and I'll have to keep doing this and things along those lines. I don't know. As much as the whole mask that goes around your ears thing is really popular out there, I think the design is fundamentally problematic and doesn't really fit in with the whole Geekhouse 5S thing. More on that later. Notice how, because this is tied to my ears and it's pulling them forward a little, that not all that great. I have to keep adjusting it the more talking that I do. So, not a good situation to be in. Fortunately, after a little more digging around on the internet and letting the supply chains eventually catch up to the demand, I found this thing. This is actually from Amazon, $20, and it still feels like it's made out of like leftover material from, I don't know, an underwear company or something like that. And but this mask is actually the most comfortable of the around the ear masks that I have. This is basically my Walmart or grocery mask. So if I go to get groceries or something, I'll just put this on because it's the most comfortable out of the masks that I don't have set aside for work. Now, we put this on, it goes right on. It goes on really nice, and it stays put because of the material. So I can just be like this all day. I can be like this all day, and it's not going to creep up here or creep down here. So let's actually stress test that a bit. There we go, and this is what it's like when you put the mask on, then put the glasses on, with these glasses, of course, as stand-ins for if you actually wear glasses and stuff like that. But this material is much, much better than the other stuff. It's not constantly going this way or this way. It just stays put, and it stretches, and the most that happens is a little rough on the inside, so your lips are feeling like they're up against rough stuff all the time. And I still swear this material is like leftover material from like women's underwear or something, I don't know. So maybe some people will be like, in some juvenile fashion. But all material issues aside, it's still pulling on my ears. So if I'm working an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift in the hot, humid weather this summer, of course I'm going to be really annoyed by wearing this all day, because who knows, maybe you'll get some irritation or something, because this thing is constantly, depending on how big your head is, a mask will pull on your ears depending on how well it fits. So it still leaves that whole thing in question as to what you should have and things along those lines. But this is my Walmart mask. So it's my mask of choice when I'm going to like Walmart or something, or a store or somewhere where I'm only going to have the thing on for like 40 minutes to an hour. Definitely not good enough for work though. And at $20 for just this mask, or whatever it was, $10, $20, something like that, way too expensive. We continue. So eventually, as the supply chains caught up with things, options were available besides getting price gouged on the internet, and word got back to me that a local mom and pop shop was sourcing masks in bulk. They were nothing fancy, and they were certainly nothing fashionable. They were just plain cloth masks. However, these didn't cost an arm and a leg. So I went down there and I perused some of their styles. First, I figured I'd try these because they were what I'd been seeing, of course, people wearing and whatnot. So again, another mask that hangs around your ear, and it's got multiple layers of cotton and stuff like that. So it's got multiple layers of stuff. It's not like that awful one earlier. And heck, it's even made in the USA as well, if we want to play that game. However, I did not take into account that there's next to no elasticity in this material going around like this. So I can't actually put this on without taking these glasses off. So let's just squeeze this on somehow and show you. I mean, I thought I was going to be wearing these to work, but I was the idiot that thought that these were more stretchy than they actually are. So even when I put it around a bottle of rubbing alcohol to stretch things out, it didn't do very much. So little did I realize, because I'm a rookie at this mask stuff, that any mask that goes around your ears is going to be pulling on your ear in varying degrees. So it's a matter of getting that pressure off of your rather, soft ears as opposed to your hard head. But we'll get to that. All right, let's put this thing on. Okay, I finally got this thing on. Annoying pain in the neck that it is. It covers everything. It doesn't slip or anything. But like I said, the lack of elasticity in the material, I had no idea, even when I tried to stretch these things out, that they would start feeling as lousy as they do when you wear them for too long. These things are pulling on my ears more than anything else. I cannot for the life of me imagine myself wearing one of these things for anything more than walking inside a store. So that's basically what I use them for. I keep a bunch of these in the glove compartment, as well as some disposables that the 9-to-5ers gave out one night. And that's basically like, if I need a mask, boom, it's there. And that's really the extent of it. I would not wear something like this to work. Matter of fact, once I found the 5S standard that I now go with nowadays, I would never wear a mask that goes around your ears to work. Whether it's because of pulling on your ears, the uncomfortable stuff, or it slips up or slips down, and you're constantly having problems, yeah, it's just not worth it. So what did I finally settle on as my 5S standard? What is the mask? What is the mask type that I wear every single day? That I have weeks worth of and should probably go buy more of if the little mom and pop that was selling these things is still selling them. Because this is the one and only kind of mask that I want to wear for long periods of time. Well, let's get to it now, shall we? So for those of you that aren't familiar with 5S, much less Geekhouse 5S, 5S is about standardizing things, shining things, cleaning things up, getting things orderly, standardizing stuff, and then sustaining it, things along those lines. You can type it into Google to learn more about the business philosophy, but I've known about it for years. There's even a variant called 6S, which adds safety as a 6th S. And that's something I'm a big fan of, but that's beyond the scope of this discussion. So let's talk about masks and Geekhouse 5S. What did I ultimately go with as my 5S standard, so to speak, for masks that I would wear to work or any long period of time? Strangely enough, a style of mask that I've actually heard some not so good things about that's kind of been brushed out of the mainstream. When people talk about pandemic masks, they talk about the ones that go around your ears. And they have the unintended consequence side effect of pulling on your ears all the time in varying amounts, depending on how big your head is and how elastic the material is. However, the tie-on variety gets around a lot of these problems, and it has some unique advantages that the ones that go around your ears just can't even compare with. So I first heard these described as kids masks, where, okay, get your kid to stand still, good luck, and then tie it around their head and stuff like that. Mom puts it on, something like that. But even when an adult puts this on themselves, it actually works out incredibly well, and it gets around a lot of the problems that the around your ear masks actually have here. So you probably can't see it because it's very dark print, but it is actually made in the USA. Made in the USA of imported fabric, 84% polyester, 16% spandex. A little bit stretchy and whatnot, but it does have multiple layers of material, unlike that lingerie mask thingy that I mentioned earlier. So basically what I do with this is I find the bottom by looking for the Made in USA thing. That tells me which of these two sets of tie things is going to be on the bottom. So I start with this, put it on like I'm putting on a necklace. This is obviously when I'm showered and everything, before I leave the house. Just do it, stretchy material too, so I just do a double knot. So I just do a double knot, make sure it's not too tight, and now here we are, I basically have a neck bib on or something like that. Then what I do is go around the back, again, not keeping it too tight, and tie the top with a double knot. And then once everything is fit correctly, and I have everything everything where it needs to go, vertically and horizontally, of course. So there we go, mask. The same as those ones that go around your ear, except there's no pressure on my ears whatsoever. It's like wearing two headbands, basically. Just don't tie them, tie them just tight enough to have your mask cover your face the way it's supposed to do. So I have this going, and it's against my hard head instead of soft ear, so it's not pulling on my ears or anything. Just got some things in the back just to make sure it doesn't get caught in machinery or anything, or I could cut off the extra material or something. But once I've got this, then it's good to go. Yep, there we go. Can talk a lot, things don't shift. This isn't like drooping down or coming up or anything like that. Not putting pressure on my ears. And then when it's time to go, take a break or something, and we're somewhere where you can take the mask off, you can bring it forward like this, and it tilts forward, and it never actually has to be put down on anything. So, and because the part that's up against your face is down here, it doesn't even matter if there's anything on your shirt, because you just do this to put it back on. Bam. Just, wash your hands a lot, but that's good advice during this pandemic. So, indeed, this is what I go with. Because then, take it off. Now, if I take it off, just do this. There you go. And then put it back on, like that. And the fun part is, because I have these tied now, I can basically just do this until the knots come undone. even if this goes through the wash and stuff, just put it on like this. There you go. Just one little design change makes all that difference, and I can always adjust them by, you know, just reaching around, doing this, doing that. One little design change makes all that difference, and then it stays put, doesn't droop, I don't have to keep constantly doing this to keep my nose covered, or this to keep my mouth covered. If I need to take a quick drink of something, there you go. Obviously wash your hands a lot and things along those lines, but there you go. It's one stupid little design decision. Tie-on masks instead of going around your ears, and it gets around a lot of the problems related to wearing masks. And heck, I even still sound somewhat clear and not very muffled through this thing, because I can basically adjust how tight it is so that it's not like I'm muffled by wearing a mask. All I have to do is talk a little bit louder, because these things do kind of make you a little bit softer. So I kind of get all boisterous and stuff so people can hear me through this thing. But I'm sure you folks haven't had a hard time hearing. Oh man. But yes, these tie-on ones are awesome, and they cost a lot less getting them from the mom and pop shop than the folks marking them up all the heck on the internet. So, 2 thumbs up for that. Matter of fact, it's thumbnail time. What are we going to use for the thumbnail of this video? That, basically. And of course, because those are reusable cloth masks and stuff, they just become part of the laundry like everything else. Because the Geekhouse has a washing machine in the kitchen, when I get home, it can go straight into the wash to go get washed with the laundry and stuff. It keeps some hand sanitizer handy and fun stuff like that. So, that is Geekhouse 5S, the Pandemic Mask Edition, showing that you can even find standards for mundane things like what masks to wear during the pandemic. MultimediaJay out.